Yo, 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 welcome to the Beat Lab. Here with my boy, as always, Leisure Suit.
Yes.
And we're here with our buddy, producer, beat maker, overall bad motherfucker, Merge. Welcome, brother.
Thank you guys, man. What up, y'all?
What's up?
What's up, man? Trying to get adjusted this squeaky ass chair. You know, the freaking Beat Lab. So what's going down, man?
Nothing, man. Just staying busy, working. You know, getting this. Just try to make beats on the daily, man.
You know, I see you, dude. You're posting videos constantly, man.
Yeah.
And you're always keeping your fans updated. Like, yo, I'm in the lab. You know, we're making shit happen here. You know, you don't see a lot of musicians, you know, that are that dedicated to putting out content. You know, showing people, hey, I'm here working.
Yeah.
You know, so that's something I've always respected about you. You know, since Stupak, he put us up on you like, you know, 3 or 4 months ago. You know, I've been following you since then. And it's just, dude, you're always grinding. You know, you're posting on your shows. You're always posting, you know, when you're in the studio. So, I mean, that's badass, dude. I got respect.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's, you know, with the whole music thing, man, I want to show people what I'm doing. You know, I feel like if I don't make a beat on a daily basis, or at least a few beats in a day, like, I wasted my entire day. So regardless of my regular 8 to 5 job, like, I have to get in that lab and I have to make a beat, or I have to do something with music. If I don't, then it's just, I feel like it's a waste of my day. And also too, you know, I like showing people what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it definitely brings in, you know, a lot more fans to it. And, you know, I'd love the support.
Yeah. I'm actually interested in knowing how do you do the whole when you make a beat, how do you go about, like, do you copyright? You know, do you do anything like that to keep that beat yours? You know?
Well, the thing is, I won't put it out. If I do put it out, obviously I put a tag on my beat. So if I do put it on SoundCloud or anything like that, I tag it.
There's date.
Yes, and so if someone wants to purchase the beat, then from there, you know, there's a bunch of different stuff you have to go through and all that. But, you know, I'll send everything once the money's collected, you know, and then.
Yeah, because I know I heard recently, like, people funking off of stealing beats and shit, you know, like.
Oh yeah, no, there's
shit.
like,
definitely
it
gets serious.
I've had some stuff where I just had somebody. I don't know how I got it, but I heard something where it was just some dudes rapping on it, and I was like, you know, and it was just garbage.
Yeah,
you know, and it wasn't even my style of like hip hop. It was just some, I don't know what the hell it was, you know, but it was just like, how in the hell, you know. But hey, you put it out, and you know that happens. So, and any producer, you know, who puts out beats or anything like that, they're gonna come.
Anything
across that.
you do, if you put it out there, even like your Facebook videos, somebody could take the audio from that, drop it in a DAW, loop it, and then they can, you know, it's so. I mean, when you put your shit out there, you always run the risk of some crooked motherfucker coming in and taking your hard work.
Yeah.
You know, but that's, you know, we're not in the cassette tape era anymore.
Right.
You know, when it hits the internet, it's there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
You just hijack it.
yeah, you know, and you just hope that artists have enough respect for the craft to pay you the respect and you know and pay you for your work.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
That's definitely a big thing, man. You know, I have a ton of people that will just hit me up like, hey, can I get a free beat? Can I get a beat? Can I get a beat? And I'm just like, man, I ain't never seen you share one of my videos or like a post, and you're just hitting me up like on a can I get a free beat? And, nah, it don't work like, you know. And then when you throw out a price at somebody,
they're taken back, like
it seems like people take it as a disrespect, like, you're gonna charge me? You know what I mean? Like, well, damn, I'm doing the work, you know, like, this is my job, you know?
Yeah.
And I just think people are crazy when they think everything's free.
They don't realize how much time you do put into, you know, making a beat or, you know, writing this, you know, if you're a writer, you know, you're writing songs and all that. I mean, it takes time, man. And dedication. So you just don't get it overnight, you know, you just can't.
Well, dude, I see on your hand, dude, you rocking a ring there, dude. So I'm assuming you're married.
Yeah.
You know, do you have kids?
Yeah.
So you're in the same boat that Leisure and I are in. You know, both being grown ass men with kids, jobs, and they have to understand, dude, that not only is it a sacrifice for you, you're putting your passion out there. You know, it's not really a sacrifice, I'd say, but it's a sacrifice for your family.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because they have to understand your passion.
Right.
And they have to be on board with that. Just like my wife, man. She graciously gives me Sunday every single week, and we'll knock out a podcast. As soon as a podcast's over, usually we're in here tracking music. So your family has to be on board with that too.
Right. Right.
And that's the thing that they don't understand. They're like, hook me up with a free beat. Like, you don't understand all the wheels that are turning in order for this to happen. The hours spent in the lab where you could be, putting that time in with your family, but they understand they're giving you the time to create your art.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No. When I first got with my wife, she told her I was doing music, and it definitely takes a lot of time. So there's I try to work with it as well when if she's got a day off of work or something, I'll try to spend that time, and then when she goes night, I'm sneaking in the lab too, to go create. I gotta do both, but yeah, no, it's definitely I'm not gonna say hard because she does support, and when I do shows, when I go out of town to do shows, that's a big thing too, because you're gone for a minute, especially when I'm kind of far away. So, she's there by herself and kids and things like that. That takes a toll sometimes too. But ultimately, she gives me 100% support. So,
yeah, that's you need that.
Yeah.
Behind every great man's a
that,
great woman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they say.
The support of family is probably like the number one thing. You ain't gonna get nothing done if you don't get the support from the family.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, that's cool, man. You had talked about people doing lyrics on your stuff and like some stuff ain't your style. You know what I mean? Like, what would you say is your style?
Man, I'm a straight hip hop head. So, you can go with some Wu-Tang, some J Dilla, Madlib. Knots is another one of my style of producers. So I like that real 90s hip hop.
See, and that's the thing too, is me, like, that's where my my roots are in the 90s, and listening to all that stuff. Like, you got Tribe Called Quest. You know what I mean? You get Wu-Tang, you get Nas. Like all them guys that were doing like over here on the West Coast, we took this gangster rap thing, but they weren't real like.
It wasn't hip hop.
Yeah, it's not hip hop. It's I guess you can say it's a form, but it's not true hip hop. Like what KRS-One, stuff like that. What those guys do, that stuff is like really like you and you get it, and you're just like, you can feel it. Like, you can feel the beats,
Yeah.
That's how I feel like Far Side, Jurassic 5.
Yeah.
See, stuff like that. That's hip hop. They're not talking about like guns and money. They're talking about they're just talking about life. So they're telling stories.
Yeah, but when I listen to your beats online, I'm like, man, I could just I can hear these kind of artists, letting it go,
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm not picturing Snoop Dogg rapping to some stuff like that. Right. I'm picturing like you said, Far Side, KRS-One, who's the one guy that sings that crazy ass song, man. Shit, I forgot his name. I just see all kinds of dudes singing on your stuff, but how is it that you go about when you're gonna make a beat?
Basically, I tell a lot of people this. It has to do with, I guess, my mood that I'm in. So, whatever mood I'm in is, I guess, the beat I'm creating. So, as I'm going through samples and I just feel this sample, like, I kind of make it based off my mood. So, it could be I can find a hard sample that's just real, rugged, then I feel like I'm pumped up right now,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna make some that where I just feel somebody just spitting raw on it, or I'm gonna spit raw on it or something. But there might be some times where I'm just, play the sample, it's real smooth, I'm like, okay, let me chop it up, and as I'm chopping it up, and as I'm listening to the actual artist itself, then I kind of get an idea of how I could go with it, and I might have something like the other day I posted a beat and I just asked, who could you see rocking this beat? And
I saw that.
I had people saying, Raekwon, Murs, Sean P, Rascas, and it's just like, okay, you guys are on the same level, because I was kind of feeling the same thing with that.
Yeah.
There's certain people that could definitely sound good on that beat. So sometimes I do it like that as well, like what artist could I hear on the track? There's times where I do scrap a beat. I'm just like, not feeling that one. But for the most part, I try to make it either for myself based off emotion, or if I could hear other people rocking it.
Yeah.
So you've got to have like that cornerstone sample, right? Like you've got to have that key sample that kind of kicks off the creative process.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you'll hear something, you'll be like, that's the one.
Yeah, and there'll be little like I could listen to a whole song and then I'll see or hear a little part in there where I'm just like, dang, I think I could flip that up right there,
Yeah.
And then that's when I get to super chopping. But I did some. You guys know what rhythm roulette is? You guys ever?
Yeah, we watched
we saw
we
you
watched the
do it.
video, the
Yeah.
blindfolded records.
Yeah, so that's something pretty cool, man. And I wanted the whole theory with that is, as I got those records, as soon as I took the blindfold off and I saw that I had that Disney
It was
one,
like
Yeah.
Thomas the Tank Engine or
Yeah.
something.
I was like,
It was
the
something
little
like
engine that
yeah,
could.
there you go.
And right away, I was just thinking to myself, you know what? Like everybody that's done the rhythm roulette, they're doing, soul, or they're just flipping up, the normal samples. And I go, let me try to flip up. There's got to be something on here. So right away, I just instead of going my normal route of just doing some soul flips or jazz flips, I was just like, I heard this little part and I was like, I'm just gonna chop that up, and it went well, man. And I was pretty happy with it. It was different, so.
Well, it kind of like when you're naming off the albums, I was like, right when you brought that one up, I was like, okay, I know, like this ain't set up, because if you're coming out with that one, like
Yeah.
'cause when you see it, it's crazy. Sometimes you'll see people pulling them out, and it'll be like, man, those are some pretty good albums. Like you can chop some, you know what I mean? Like you can make that into
Yeah,
some
like,
shit.
yeah,
you
you
know?
really got
But
that
I'm
one
like, oh
blindfolded,
shit, that
motherfucker. Come on.
Disney one was a
Yeah, no, I looking at some videos too, some of them know where the soul section is.
yeah. What section?
They
they're
know
in.
where to
Yeah.
walk to,
Yeah.
like generally.
Yeah.
Like I can go to this whole section and pull out
Where
something.
what store was that you went to?
That was the Downtown Records.
Oh, okay. So you see, I didn't know that was there. You
Yeah,
know?
well, there used to be a few in town, man, and
Yeah.
I believe that's the only one now. I used to go to one that was in East Hills Mall, and that
Yeah, I remember going
Yeah.
to that
my
one.
guy, his name was Dave, that owned it, man, and that dude had a massive record collection. I went over there every Friday to buy records, and there would be times where he had records just set aside for me, because he knew he knew what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And obviously I was spending a good amount of money there. But yeah, it's the Downtown Records, man, and they got a lot of stuff, and just to go back to selecting those records, like I don't normally spend the $17, $18 on a record,
right.
like
Yeah.
I try to get them $1, $2, or sometimes 50-cent ones, but whew,
Well, and it's kind of sad to see that we can't just go around the corner and find a record shop anymore. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
They're all
It's
gone, man.
man, that tells you what the web's doing to the whole business. Period. It's easy to make shit, and put it out there. Like it's easy to put it out.
Yeah.
You don't have to do shit to put it out, but it's kind of sad that you don't got those classic. Nobody's buying those classic albums and stuff. And like it's just like a when you buy a CD. And they get the album covers and stuff like that, and you're looking through the little booklet, and you're like, "Oh, this is tight," But ain't nobody doing shit like that no
No.
more.
You don't have that experience of like, I remember, here we go, man. You got to hit the ringer, waiting for that Tool record to drop. 1996, dude. I was a sophomore in high school, and Enema was coming out, and I was standing outside the record store the day that album came out, And I just remember, being a fan of a a band or musician or an artist, whatever, and like you'd be reading the magazines and staying, to what's going on because there was no internet, and you'd be waiting for that record to drop, and you'd be outside the record store, 9 o'clock. They'd open their doors. You go and you get that copy. You open it up for the first time. You read the liner notes. Like, kids today don't have that experience,
No.
I remember that. I mean, that's so vivid in my mind. Like, just buying a CD. Like, why is that day, more special than any other day? It's because that record came out.
Yeah.
That's why I
release
remember it,
Yeah.
It's like you don't remember a random fucking day from your sophomore year of high school.
Dude,
But I remember waiting at the record store, dude.
Yeah, I would be at stores every fucking Tuesday, because I knew Tuesday was that damn day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you knew some shit was coming out, it was coming out on Tuesday, But, another thing, too, is, like, when you as an artist put something out, that album cover or that CD booklet that you put in the little CD, there's some thanks that go into that, too.
Yeah.
Like, thanks to certain people.
Right.
that made it happen.
Yeah, and it's fucking crazy that you can just take that kind of shit away, like, because basically you get up on Apple Music and you just dial in a name and boom, you just start listening to their shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't say who was in the process, that
Who produced it, where it was made.
What family, paid the price
Right.
for this person to do that. There's a lot of people that deserve thanks on the way, and that was one of the outlets that you would have to thank some, like, what, this is special because I put you on here in my thanks.
I used to definitely love reading that.
Yeah, I used to love it
I used to
too.
go any CD I bought, I would definitely read the whole
Yeah.
thing. Man.
And I would trip out on some of the people that were thanked in it. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit! Like, I didn't even know, that was
that they were connected or something.
yeah. It's crazy, but you know what I mean. And you see how, like, we can have a conversation about that and be like, oh man, that was so cool, but it's gone. It's really not there no more. Unless you go buy an album, and they're still out there, but.
Vinyl's making a comeback, dude. A lot of bands, artists are putting their shit out on vinyl again.
Yeah.
Like
I think with
Guitar
vinyl,
Center's
it's
got
just
a
expensive.
section,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
They've
it
even
is
got
expensive.
vinyls there now. It is expensive.
It is expensive to make, but it is making a comeback. Though I have been seeing a lot of posts or people talking about it, and that it's definitely coming back. So that's good.
Well, I'm pretty sure things come back full circle because people like vintage.
Yeah.
People like antique. And that's that vintage look right there. Is the album is like, damn, the vinyl. That's like, ooh, yeah.
Have you seen that it's like an iPhone app, but it makes your iPhone videos look like shitty, like camcorder video from the 90s?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
you'll see shit like that. I'll be like, is that from, and it'll say like 2016. You're like, what the fuck? And it was an app. I'm like,
Yeah.
so it's cool to make your videos look like shit again.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, fuck 1080i or 4K.
Yeah.
Let's just make it look like shit again.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some things that don't need to be repeated, like Sony Handycam videos. I'm good with that. Like, I'm good with leaving that in 1993. That's fine with me.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. When I was driving over here today, I got up early as shit. I don't even know why I was up so early, but I got up early and I was thinking about how you make beats and stuff, and I was like, man, I said this. I don't know if you have made a beat sampling from this artist, but I was like listening to it because it's when I go to the hip hop, I start going back to funk. So I threw on some Slave. You know who Slave is?
Mm-hmm.
I threw on Slave, and I'm listening to the song Slide, right? And that's my favorite Slave song. And I'm listening to Slide, and I'm hearing that bass, like, oh, and I'm just like, yeah. And I'm like, damn, man, I would like. Have you ever done something like that with those kind of artists?
Yeah, no, I have. Recently, I haven't, but I have, messed with those type of artists, especially like Funkadelic and just that whole era of music. I try to. I don't just necessarily focus on like soul or the jazz. I'll get with some rock music. I'll just whatever. If there's something that I feel like I can make a beat to, if you ask Stu, he wanted what's his name? Something Twitty. it's a country artist.
Conway Twitty.
Conway Twitty.
Yeah.
I don't know if he, ran it by you, but he was trying to make something out of it, and he pretty much was like, hey, see if you can flip this up, and I've never really messed with the country song besides the old Kenny Rogers had an old group back in the day that was on some psychedelic music.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty awesome,
Yeah.
but never nothing like some straight up country. And, I flipped the crap out of this sample, man. And, he was just like, how'd you, and I was just like, I don't know. So it doesn't matter. If I feel like if there's something I can do on it, then, I'm going to go for it. So, it's kind of like that's why I respect Dilla so much. Jay Dilla, man,
Yeah.
he flip whatever he wants, so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's my my slide to you. Is like,
Okay, you want me to flip?
throw in slide,
Slave.
slide. Get that one in somewhere because that shit's tight.
I think it's tight when producers will flip, like classic rock, like Led Zeppelin or something, like who what was it? Eminem that had that flip with it was it Dream On or
Yeah, he did
Yeah, I
that.
think
And
so.
then
he has a
Yeah,
couple where he
Ozzy.
did some rock music, and it always came out cool. I don't know who does all of his beats. Probably Dr. Dre, right? Like
not all of them. I remember. I think even on his last album he put out, he was just. I was listening to an interview and he was just like, "Man, Dr. Dre is too expensive."
Yeah.
He did a few for me, but he's too pricey.
Dr.
God
Dre
damn.
probably helped him just come out. Like his first the
Slim Shady LP.
the
or,
Slim Shady or maybe even a little bit of Stan. The Stan album. But
That's the first one.
Is that the first one?
Yeah, the Slim Shady LP. I
Yeah.
think. That's
yeah,
the first one.
like that. That's probably like
Yeah, to
where it
make
went,
that name.
yeah, he's a name maker. He's like, well, I'll jump on this one, and then then you got to pay me big time. So
What do
yeah,
you
he probably
think?
just
Like
costs
we
a lot.
waited, 20 plus years for Dr. Dre album to come out, and he brought out Compton. What'd you think of that, man? Like you heard for so long, like, oh yeah, watch out for Detox. He had that dropped on a bunch of songs.
That's what I want to hear though. Is the Detox?
Yeah, like Compton. What that wasn't Detox,
No,
right?
No, I want to hear the Detox. Like, I just feel like that's I don't know, man. That's,
Did he rush this one out for NWA?
I think it
or
was just for that,
the movie.
Yeah,
Because I was like, this can't be the masterpiece he was talking about, because it's not anything on par with freaking.
I think that Detox album. I mean, there's a reason why it hasn't been put out, and I think it's because everybody's expecting it to be great, you know. And if there's something minor that's wrong on there,
Yeah, he's not. Gonna,
he's a perfectionist, man. So. That's just my take on it.
It took me a couple tracks on that Compton album to even figure out who Dr. Dre was on.
I
that.
did not even listen to it.
Well, his voice it's completely changed.
Yeah.
Like he used to have that, like he'd come at it real deep, and on this one his pitch was a little higher, and it kind of threw me off. I was like, "Fuck, man, that don't even sound like Dr."
Yeah, but I think that it is one of those things where the movie was coming out, and what else are you gonna do but cash in on that?
Yeah.
And you're gonna throw something out just to cash in on it. You make as much money as possible.
We made $1 billion on selling beats to Apple, so I think he's got enough money.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah,
his
pretty much.
$1 billion voice, is what you heard.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
So in the lab, man, you're using the Logic Pro X too, right?
yeah.
How do you like that?
I like Logic, man. I like it. Just basically, I have a PC as well, and I used Pro Tools on there. And Pro Tools, I like it, but I didn't have the whole super studio Pro Tools, and
You had like an LE version, or
you
something?
you just record and all that. And but with Logic, man, I feel like it's faster, especially bouncing over a track. For Pro Tools, you have to wait. However long your track is, you have to wait for that to bounce out.
Yeah.
So 5-minute track. I mean, it's like damn. But with Logic, it's just quick little bounce. And then I like the mixing, doing mixing and all that. Because what I do is I'll get my beats, put them all through Logic, put them in there, and then and I mix it in there. So
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
there'll be a mix in the machine, and then I do another mix in Logic.
What's that little beat machine? What kind of?
That's a machine. I have the Machine MK1, and then I have the Machine Studio. So they're both pretty much native instruments. But the Machine Studio is what I keep at the house, and then the other machine, that's what I take on to do shows with.
Yeah,
So it's smaller, that's why.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I see that one. It's got like wood grain on it and stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm like, damn, that's pretty.
Yeah, that
You know
shit
what's
looks
funny?
crazy, man.
Stu, when he came in here, he's like, I got a present for you, Ted. He gave me a like one of those sample pads. So I was in here, I was like, fuck yeah. Fuck that shit. I'm like, you know. I'm like, I can make some tight shit on this, right? Yeah, I've always been interested in the process. And, you know, Stu gave me that. And I was like, oh, I'm going to try to do this. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a lot fucking harder than I thought it was, you know? Being a drummer, you know, I feel like I can make, like, tight beats, but I don't have the, like, that whole sample game on lock, you know? That's like, you have to have an ear for that,
Yeah.
you know?
Definitely with the sampling, man. It definitely takes, time, when you're going through a record and just, you're just listening to the entire thing. And then finally you find that, bam, there it is. That's what I'm going to use. you know? So, but again, it takes slowing down or speeding it up, however, and then, you might find something that way too. So it's a process.
Yeah, there should be no misconceptions that it's easy by any fucking stretch.
No,
I mean, I learned that firsthand, man. I'm like, all right, this shit, I'm going to leave this to the pros. I'll fuck around with this when I'm like here by myself. But
well,
I'm not,
it's crazy though, because
tough.
when you do stuff, it's even hard just to find out what's the first step you take. You know what I mean? Like I could not even think right now what would be the first step I would take doing something like you do. I'm like, I don't know. What do I do?
That's why he does what he does, man.
Do I just, start on a box or something? Like, I don't know, but it's a process, man. There's a process to everything. And this is one of those processes that interests me because I think the beats are sick. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, this shit's tight. Like, I just hear it and I'm just like, oh, yeah. And then I want to hear, like you said, you kind of say like, oh, who can you hear getting off on this? You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, I wish I could hear somebody getting off on this, because there's some talented ass motherfuckers out there doing some shit, that nobody knows about. Nobody even knows about, But
dude, I think Stu's one of those guys, man. He's got a special voice,
it's
dude.
a classic throwback.
Yeah, he's got that delivery, dude.
Yeah.
He's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah,
big up
he's
Stu.
cool.
Big up to Tep, the third born.
My
guy.
The other one was that Big Spades guy.
Oh yeah,
I
he's
kinda-
bad too.
Yeah.
That Truth Hurts song.
Yeah, I was
that he
like,
brought
who's
us.
that
I
dude?
was like, wow, dude. You know what's funny is Stu doesn't advertise the fact that he's a hip hop artist.
No, you really don't. I went to high school with Stu, and for the longest, I did not know he was in hip hop. I never knew that about Stu.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, as we got a little older, there was.
Yeah.
And then he's making beats. And I'm like, what? I was like, damn, all right, Stu, come on then.
Yeah. I did jujitsu with him, and I don't hide the fact that I'm a musician. So I'm always talking about my band and what we're doing, and I don't care if they want to hear about it or not. I'm always talking about that shit. But then Stu, like, just out of fucking nowhere, he's like, oh yeah, I do hip hop. I'm like, what? Like, he's like, yeah.
He said, oh, yeah.
I'm like,
oh, yeah.
dude, we gotta hook up. I'm like, I wanted, because that's something I've always wanted to do. I wanted to do some fucking Questlove shit.
Yeah.
I want to get down on some hip hop.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do that. So, since Stu came on the podcast, and now him and I, we're just, it's coming, dude. We're gonna hook up. I'm gonna record some drums for him, and he's gonna go and chop those up and do some stuff with some live drums, and I think that's gonna come out cool.
Yeah.
Have you done anything with like musicians?
Yeah, I actually got a buddy of mine named Chris, man, and he's a guitarist, and he plays drums decent. I used to have some drums as well, but when I moved to my spot, I had to get rid of them, too much room. But no, I have worked with an artist, and you know the guitar thing, man. That's another dope thing to bring into the game, man. It livens up stuff. You know, recently I was at my boy the Epic Studio. Shout out to them. They just had a grand opening for a new studio, which is dope. But we were in there creating, and it's 4 producers in there, and then we had this other guitarist named Silo, who's
I've heard about Silo.
you know, Silo's a beast, and he who was in there, and you could just see his passion for it, dude. And you know, it definitely brings out the music when you have some live stuff and the instruments, you know, whether it be drums, guitar, and that's something I definitely want to do. Where I do get a band, you know, and I say I make this beat, I want them to
reproduce that.
play it, man. And
so do you know who Tony Royster Jr. is?
No.
So he's like a gospel drummer that he's played with Jay-Z forever. And, you know, he'll take those records, those Jay-Z records, and when they play live, he's Jay-Z's live drummer. And it's crazy to hear that guy just gets off, like, on a different level. But he's always playing with Jay-Z, and I'm like, man, that's the shit right there. Like, the shit that's on the record, like, it's good, you know? It's Jay-Z's a legend, but the vibe with the live drums, man, I'm like, why aren't people doing this?
Yeah.
You know? You're in the studio, they're recreating the drums, obviously, but why not have the live, you know, the real drummer in the studio putting it down? I think it would just give it a different feel, you know?
No, it definitely does. I got a buddy out in L.A. named Destruct, and he's a dope MC, but he's got like a band too that, you know, besides doing his hip hop, he'll go do something with the band, and they go do shows like that, man, and it sounds dope, like them playing live with it. There you go. I was trying to see, it kept sinking on me, man.
Yeah, dude, that mic clip's like fucking weak or some shit.
Oh, I think you got to kind of pull it back. You know what I mean?
Should I
Like,
turn it?
it's weird. I keep on seeing that thing, and I'm just like, the
That
fuck?
fucking
We need
thing.
to fucking just fix that shit. Like, it's driving me fucking crazy, man.
You know,
But yeah, the live band thing is cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
I think it definitely brings another look at that music from its original form. You know, when you just sample it and mix it up and then fucking boom, throw it out there, and then these dudes come and turn it into a live sound.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, that's
Yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah, most acts, they have like a live band that accompanies them on stage, you know, and you that feeling. I'm like, man, this is so much better.
yeah,
You know, I love the energy of the, you know, having musicians on stage, because it makes it a performance.
right.
You
Yeah.
know,
So who would you want to work with though? Like that you have, you know what I mean? Like, what's your thing? Like, who do you want to work with?
You know, one of the favorite artists of mine is Al Zai, again, who was with like Slum Village and Dilla. It's definitely somebody I'd like to work with. As far as producer wise, man, like Knots, you know, is a favorite producer of mine right now, and he's been for a while, dude. That dude gets down, so he's somebody I would like to work with. Of course, RZA, you know, me growing up, RZA was, you know, just a beast, man, and I'd like to pick his mind. Obviously, rest in peace to Mr. J Dilla. So producer wise, those would be the ones. You know, Premier is another tight one. Let's say, like, artist wise, man, you know, like I said, I like Elzai, I like Rock Marciano, Rake, or Ghostface, actually.
Ghostface,
is
my
tough.
yeah, he's
That
my
dude,
favorite, dude.
Yeah, Ghostface is crazy.
I
shit.
just picture what dude is saying, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I've always been that way, man, and Ghostface is raw with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and those are a few, man.
It's crazy. Ghostface never keeps his shit, like, record after record. He's always changing it up, you know?
And they're bangers too.
Yeah,
though.
you know, like Fish Scales, right? And then More Fish, and then you had like Supreme Clientele, you know, and that one was like real, like, jazzy, right?
Yeah.
And then what was the first one with All
Cuban
That I Got
Links?
Is You? Yeah,
Or
no,
the
that
one
was
with
Raekwon.
Raekwon.
Fuck. me, man. Dude, that's like my favorite goddamn
Yeah.
Ghostface
Yeah.
record, dude. Is that first one. You bought it for me for my birthday
Yeah.
long
Damn,
ass time
what the
ago.
fuck was it
Like we
called?
said, Supreme Clientele.
Dude, it's the first one.
I don't know, but Ghostface brings it though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's up.
Brings it, man.
Dude,
like,
he murders. And he's
Yeah.
so raw, dude. Like when he comes out, like on all the Wu-Tang shit, like Raekwon, they have like that smooth delivery. And then he comes out and he's always on like some next level. Like he's always like hyped up, like he's always just brings the energy.
and dude, like when he delivers it, it's so fucking New York. You know what I mean? Like it's so over there. Like you're just like, God damn, you can hear. But then I start thinking too, the fuck is this dude's fucking thought process to come up with that shit?
He
Like,
does rap about his dick a lot though.
Oh, dude.
My dick's the bomb, baby.
Shit, man.
I think he says that at least once in every verse.
Yeah, he's sick though, man. That dude
He's my
fucking-
favorite.
I like a. Do you know who the Freestyle Fellowship is?
Yeah.
I like them. Yeah, I mean, they're from the West Coast, but it's kind of crazy because they get off like East Coast hip hop. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, those guys. I listened to Book of Human Language by AC Alone, and I was like, damn, that was a fucking bad motherfucker right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's crazy though because that kind of music over here ain't gonna get exposure. It never really was anything big around here, but it's just it's to me it's just that stuff doesn't belong out here. That's what the people over here think. You know, they don't hear that stuff. Like if I listen to some East Coast shit, I'm like, damn, that shit sounds tight. You know?
I've always been in the East Coast rap.
Yeah, I
like
do.
it.
It's way more tasty. It's way more tasty. Like it's I can sit there and just listen to that shit and then play it again. That same song I just listened to, I said, wait a minute, or I'll rewind it like just to hear what did he say, and like it's real interesting. But the thing that interests me about that type of music is, man, they can tell a story. They can tell a damn story through that shit. Like.
Yeah.
It's like shit, dude. That shit, man. And I'm fucking trying to think in my. Since this whole episode, I've been trying to think of who the fuck I was talking about in the beginning. You know what I mean? And I'm for some reason it's still ain't coming. And we fucking played that song here one time, and I was like, "Fuck, dude." I don't know, some fucking guy talking about his mom that got raped, and he was the one that fucking raped her or some shit like that. Like it was the fucking craziest song. It's the craziest shit I've ever heard, but. I can't even fucking think of the guy's fucking name, dude. I'm like so fucking mad at myself right now.
And then, hey, as soon as this podcast is over,
as soon as
you're
it's
gonna
over, I'm
remember.
gonna be like, oh fuck, dude.
Hey, then we'll go back and we'll edit it in, and you'll just say it.
Yeah, and oh man, it's fucking
Let's
crazy.
just drop it.
It's fucking
Little
crazy.
nugget.
Yeah, we're just gonna fucking move on from here, and maybe it'll just pop in my head. If I look confused, because I'm really thinking, guys. Okay, I'm really fucking thinking, but. Yeah, man. What do you got going? Like, are you out there doing anything right now? Like, you got any live stuff?
Yeah. So basically, what I've been doing is, just live beats or whatever at shows. So, the last show I did was, one from my boy Riddy K. It was his birthday, and we were at Syndicate. Did some live stuff over there. Did some stuff while he was spitting over some of my beats while I was doing it live. Before that, we had Binary Star here, which the one below, dude, man, that dude is killer on the mic. Like, dude's sick with it, man. So, I've just been doing a lot of live shows, but currently I'm just trying to work on my own project. I was going to put out another beat tape this year. It was going to be the Merge Beats versus Eastside Stories, and, which is... pretty much what I did was get all the East Side Story oldies, and I chopped them up. But the way I did it was, I don't want you to know pretty much that this was the East Side Stories like sample. When you hear the first beat, I want you to be like, what the?
Yeah.
Ain't no oldie. Like, how in the hell did you do that? But I'm going to put that on hold, and I'm working on a solo project. Is, just me spitting some bars, and so far it's coming out pretty dope. So That's pretty much what I'm doing, man. I'm just trying to do some shows and then just working on my project and getting a few features on there as well.
Yeah, that's nice. What was that thing that I saw? It looked like you guys were in an alley. Was that?
Oh yeah, with all the Bernie supporters.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? This is
that
crazy.
was my boy. So every first Friday of the month, they have downtown has an art walk, and there's just different vendors or people just set up on different corners of downtown, and they're they sell stuff or whatnot. But my boy Riddy K and DJ Dynamite, they have an area where they just set up to perform and do music. And that day, a bunch of Bernie supporters were just marching, man. So it was tight when they hit that alley. He put on the perfect song, and he just rocked it, man. And they all gathered around and showed mad love, and it was pretty damn tight, dude. So that's what it was. So.
Yeah, that shit was tight, man. I was like, what? I was kind of trying to figure out like what's going on here. Like it was like it just busted out, But it was cool, man. It was
cool.
cool.
Could have been a tight
like
video.
Yeah.
So what is the state of hip hop in our town, dude? In Bakersfield?
Honestly, I feel it's growing. When I first, I'm from a group called the Dirty Politicians.
Yeah.
And when we first started hitting the scene and doing hip hop shows, like it wasn't too good, man. It'd be your people's friends and buddies, that was cool, but you wouldn't have a lot of people just to come out to support it. And we'd always do shows in LA. I mean, even when Wu-Tang was here.
Yeah, they played the Fox. That was in 07?
And it wasn't a full sellout at all.
No.
Not
That's
at all.
crazy. I think that's crazy.
But Tech Nine was here, big up Tech Nine too, but that thing sold the hell out at Fox.
Yeah, that was at
actually performed.
No, that was
there.
at the Dome, right?
No, that was at the Fox.
It was
that
at the Fox?
Fox?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
at the Fox.
He played the Dome too, Tech Nine. I remember I was supposed to take little Matt, and he's like, I'm scared to go. I'm like, what,
Dude? Like me, I'm not a Tech Nine fan. I don't know why, but I don't get into Tech Nine.
I like Tech
But
Nine.
damn, there's a fucking following for that dude, man.
Oh.
That dude.
He crosses genres, dude. Like metal fans, because he did some shit with Corey Taylor from Slipknot.
Yeah.
And he comes out like he'll be at big metal festivals. He'll be the only hip hop guy there.
Yeah,
and he'll get all kinds of
You got all
love.
them gigolo.
Oh yeah, all
or
the
juggalos or
the juggalos like
juggalos.
Tech Nine
Yeah.
too.
Oh, dude, that's because we performed at that same show. It was just us and then Tech Nine and his crew, and that's all you've seen at the front.
juggalos?
Yeah, and I was just like, damn, man, this is crazy. But it was, it was way bigger than the Wu-Tang concert. But I feel with the hip hop that's going on right now in town, I feel like there's a lot more people coming out. The promoter, big up Mike Justice, man. That dude he's been putting on shows, whether it be at Jerry's or whether it be at the Syndicate. Like there's a good crowd going there and showing love and showing support. So I think it's a lot bigger than from when we first started performing. I think it's growing a lot more, man. You're starting to see, little MC battles, which before you used to have them, but they weren't as big. My guy After, from here, that dude representing going on big time beat MC battles, but they're kind of bringing that here as well. So which is tight. Doing the live beat thing, that wasn't around before over here. People are starting to really see that and we're like, damn, this is awesome. And you get the live performances, and so I think everybody's trying to unite. That's on that hip hop, and they're working with each other, and so everybody's bringing in their own people, and then all these people are uniting. So, I feel it's coming along, man.
It takes a community, everybody's got to be banding together to make it happen. And, talking about Tech Nine, that guy should give everybody inspiration by the simple fact that guy's doing this at such a high level as an independent.
Yeah.
He's not relying on, Capitol Records money.
No.
He's not relying on major label record money. He's making his own success. And I bet he's making more money because of it, because now he doesn't have all these other people with their hands out,
Yeah.
So that money's reaching his pocket first.
See, and one thing about Tech Nine, like I said, I'm not the Tech Nine listener, but I can respect him because that's one dude that I always see when like if I look something up or I'm going through the calendars, Tech Nine is out there touring. Like he's out there, you know, like he's
constantly.
Yeah, it's like even if he puts out an album or he's working on an album, he's out there touring, and I'm like, it's crazy because that's how you make your money.
Yep.
You got to get your ass out there and work. You know what I mean? Like these kids nowadays don't want to work to make money. You know, like how we have this thing, you know, in like especially in the band business, it's, you know, all these venues want you to pay to play.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
do you guys run across that? And when you're going to LA, do you have a pay to play?
You know what? That was a big thing over there, and there was a few times where, you know, they give you the tickets and you got to sell these tickets. But hey, we're from Bakersfield, and we, you know, ain't nobody. We're not gonna, you know, they give you say 30, 40 tickets. We're not gonna have 40 people drive out there for the show. Sometimes they weren't even artists that had a real big name at the time. So there was times that, you know, if you had if it was a dope artist that I wanted to do a show with, you know, then we would all team up and we would do that. But yeah, it sucks, man. And, you know, I have a lot of friends that are on Facebook that, you know, they just talk so much shit about it because it's stupid that you have to do that, man. And I understand that the promoter has to pay for the artist, and there's certain artists that, you know, want that money, but, you know, sometimes just to play a gig, you know, you shouldn't have to pay for that shit.
You know, when you're playing with a next level artist that can really, where you getting in front of their fans could really put you over. You know, there's instances like that, and in that case, you know, it's not as big of a crime to me to sell tickets to play that show. You know, and I ran into this 15 years ago down in LA, you know, selling tickets to play at like the Whiskey A Go Go. But we were opening up for like a next level band, you know, that somebody that could put you over.
Yeah.
But when they're just having you, because you're playing this venue, you have to sell tickets. Like that shit just, it's lazy to me for the promoter, because now, you know, back when I was super active in music, you know, you had to street team, you had to flyer, you had to do all that shit.
Yep.
Now these promoters, they're just throwing up a fucking ad on Facebook and they call their job done.
Yeah.
It doesn't, that doesn't vibe with me, you know? Like the whole art of being a promoter was to get people in the door, and I think that the hustle's gone from the quote unquote promoters, you know? Like what are they really doing? Like they can source an act to come to the venue, but like what else are they doing?
Right.
I mean, it's shit that they're not doing anymore that they did 15, 20 years ago.
And that's the thing too, is like, it's like you said, if you're a band and you're opening up for, you know, somebody that's big, you know, you can sell those tickets. Yeah. Like they're gonna sell. You can sell them. You
can sell them standing out front the venue
even if you're like from over here in Bakersfield, you know, and it's over there in LA, you can sell it over there because the band is a known band.
Yeah.
So people are gonna buy. Now, because I really don't disagree with the whole paying to play thing, because I'm like, dude, if you want to make it, you gotta do your shit. You know, like you gotta fucking do what they're asking you to do, because it's not like you're gonna change it, you know. But I do think that these people sometimes charge crazy amounts of money for a band that nobody even knows who the fuck they are.
Right.
Yeah, when they're like, you have to sell 30 tickets and you're playing with all local bands that night.
Yeah,
like,
and the fucking
right,
ticket's
man.
$30. Like, no, fuck no. I can't sell $30 of, you know, like 50 tickets for $30. No way. It's crazy. I do think that they need to think about the level of artists that are on these shows, and charge door prices or ticket prices should be to that level of artists. You know what I mean? Like, if it's like
a local show, man, you pay $5 bucks. You know, that
$5 tickets. You know, like
yeah,
you pay movie price right there. You know, like you can't charge people like $25 for all local bands.
Even
a
good band, though, like, you know, tickets are like, it's ridiculous, dude. You can't even afford to go to a good show anymore. A lot of times, you know, like I just bought tickets for Cindy for this summer to go see Blake Shelton. You know, she's a big country music fan, and you know, we paid like $100 a ticket. You know, and I remember, you know, the most expensive show I went to as a kid, I went to the first Coachella, and we went and saw Tool and Rage Against the Machine, and it was $100 a day, and that was like, wow, you know, that was some shit, you know, $100 for a ticket for a concert. I just remember like being blown away by that. But now it's like you're at least gonna pay $100, you know, if not more for a concert ticket.
Well,
it's become.
It depends. It depends on who. Like you said, you're going to a country concert. The country genre people know this concert's gonna sell out, whether it's your ass that pays $100 or my ass that pays $100. You know, like somebody's gonna pay that $100 on that ticket.
Yeah.
And that's just like the pop thing that you brought up on the what is it, Megan Trainor, right?
Oh yeah.
You looked at her shit and she had like fucking 1 billion views, you know. And then
I woke up with that fucking song. Did I tell you about
yeah,
that?
you told me about it, and then I listened to the song and I'm like, no,
God damn it,
my number, no, you know.
Yeah,
I'm
my
like,
name is no.
Yeah.
My number is no. I'm like, God fucking damn. How do you wake up out of a dead sleep with Megan Trainor?
But dude, she's selling out. Yeah, I mean anything that she freaking does, she's gonna sell it out. You know, like it's crazy, but that shit is gonna sell no matter what. Those ticket prices, they go up and up and up because they haven't stopped selling yet.
Yeah.
Until they stop selling, that's when they're gonna say, okay, maybe we need to lower it a little bit.
That's like Bella's little band that she likes, right? The 5 Seconds of Summer.
Uh-huh.
We had to buy tickets for this summer show last summer. Like,
damn.
Those guys are so big. And I mean, these shows, bro, I went with her last year and we got them tickets, like good tickets. And then me and her mom, we sat up top in the lawn. It was crazy, dude. There was like 50,000 13-year-old girls there. Just the sound pressure levels, bro, like blowing out your ears. It was like gnarlier than any Ozfest or any of these like big metal shows, because it was just crazy ass little girls screaming like so loud, bro. This year, got her tickets. We're just gonna fucking drop them off. Be like, yo, catch an Uber back to the hotel. Me and moms are going to get some dinner. That's a wrap.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's tight, but I don't know. Some of these like I just went to Frisco like last week, and me and my son drove by Levi Stadium, and you just see Beyonce's name on the marquee already. Like she's not even playing right now, but it's boom. And I'm just like, damn, I couldn't even imagine how you take that stage. You know, like in front of all them freaking people, dude, that's a fucking packed house right there. And it's like, and you know, at those kind of pop shows and stuff, their stage is all the way around. You know, it's not like half the stage, you know, where you're just playing to these people over here. It's the fucking whole motherfucker that they're, you know, they're catering to that whole motherfucker. And I'm like, damn, you know, it's crazy that Beyonce can get up here and fucking take this stage and fucking own it. And I couldn't even imagine stepping up there. Like, oh shit. Like all these motherfuckers looking at me.
You know what's crazy is like is seeing some of the crowds for like Dave Matthews Band. Like he did that show. It was he did a free show in Central Park in New York. And it was like he did a DVD and a live CD and everything. But it looked like the crowd from Woodstock. I mean,
I seen
hundreds of thousands of people.
Central Park's
a big
motherfucker,
It was
bro.
a sea of people, dude, to where after about 600 yards or so, then they have like movie screens.
Yeah, you can't even see the
stage
Yeah.
anymore. And then there's another, million people behind that. Like, you're like, oh my God, dude.
Damn.
Like, getting on stage and playing in front of a mass like that, that's fucking crazy.
So, like when you get on stage, Merz, and you're doing, what's the biggest worry you have? Do you have any fear of anything happening? Maybe power going out?
Nah, you know, believe it or not, I've seen that happen. But nah, it's what do you call it, man? obviously you don't, when you mess up on a verse or something like that, that's the part where it's just like, oh shit, because I've seen it happen where you forget a line,
Yeah.
and then somebody, they're like, and the cool thing about being in a group where we were like 6-7 deep in our group, so as we're backing each other up, there's always somebody. Like, I made it a point to where I know everybody's verse. Any song that we're performing, I'm gonna know everybody's verse on there. So somebody does,
You could pop
they
in.
could pop in and fill it in, and then they're like, okay, and then they catch up and they'll be right back in, and you let them go, But a funny story, we were performing one time, and my buddy Sharp, man, he's really hype on the stage, like gets wild,
Yeah.
a lot of energy, and I was like in front of him, and he was kind of in the back, just kind of doing his thing, and our other buddy was the one doing like his backups, But I don't know what happened. He just went in his own world, and he just slipped up on his line. And there's video of it, which is awesome because as you're watching the video, you see him and he's just getting hype, and then he's up like this, and then he just looks, and he's looking at everybody, but nobody decided to back him up.
Oh God.
So he just kind of went into a whole nother verse.
Yeah.
And it was just like, damn, but his face, man, and everybody just kind of looks at each other like
what was that?
Oh shit. And then, it was
Nothing is as bad as what shit show freaking Nick Jonas put out on that fucking award show.
That
Did you
guitar?
see that guitar solo fail? He comes out and he's just like, I'm the motherfucker, dude. Woo! Freaking with that note band, and then he blip, 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 and he's just like, oh fuck. Yeah, you bit off a little more than you could chew, pal.
I don't know. I don't. I'm like, damn. Like that just had to be a mind fuck. You know what I mean? Like, because you can't go out there and not know how to play. They're not gonna send you out there with the guitar.
I think he was just too hype, man.
Yeah.
That happens. Your adrenaline sometimes will take over, dude, and kind of cause
But
you to.
that's one of those things too, where I'm like, what kind of stage was he on? Yeah, I mean, how many people were out there?
Oh well, it was not only was he playing to thousands of people in the crowd, he was playing to millions at home, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a live
Yeah, oh,
broadcast.
yeah.
So what's funny is that's gonna be immortalized as the fucking worst guitar solo fuck up in history.
See, and right there, he just fucking said the key word that fucking
Immortalized.
immortal technique is the guy that I'm thinking of.
Yay!
Yeah, like I'm like, oh shit, you just fucking clicked my shit right now.
That's
Like,
what it
okay.
was.
There was.
Sweaty Teddy to the rescue.
Yes, thank you, God, thank you.
Hey, Mortal Technique
Yeah.
is tight, man.
Yeah, he is tight.
Dude's dope.
He's sick as fuck.
Yeah.
But that's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of that guy, and I was like, oh, that dude's bad. Why can't I think of who the fuck I'm talking about right now? I just want to see this is my stage fuck up right now.
Hey,
But
we brought you back though.
You
I'm
see?
your hype man.
Somebody
bro.
else jumped in. That's right. That's how you do it. Jump in, save the person. Don't leave them hanging.
Yep.
But me and you were talking earlier about your gear, the hats and stuff like. And I had mentioned to you on Facebook that your shit's tight. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, those fucking hats are fucking tight. You know
Yeah,
what I
I'm
mean?
digging the
But-
apparel, dude. Next level shit.
Let's
Thank you.
put it out there. Who does this stuff? So
My guy Ray from Elite Embroidery in the 805, he does all my hats, man. Dude's awesome with it, man. He's quick, very good guy. Much love to that dude. As far as the shirts and all that, that's my boy Mike Storm, who's another artist. He's out in the Southern Valley or whatever. And he pretty much does all my shirts, the sweaters I put out and all that. So I go to two different people. So man, it's Ray and then my guy Mike Storm.
that's cool, man. Shout out to both of them.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, like I'm digging the Merge Beats emblem. Like
Yeah, the logo's tight.
the logo is sick, man. I like how it all just meshes up in together.
Trying to merge it.
Yeah, trying to merge it together. You know what I mean? That's sick, bro. But yeah, I've always since Stu told us about you, the first thing I looked at was the gear, and I was like, man, that fucking hat's pretty fucking clean, And I'm like, shit. So I for a while I was looking at that shit first because the Beat Lab, we haven't even put out like our stuff. We haven't got our our own shirts and hats yet, but we've been looking. We're in search,
And we're using you as like
Yeah.
our fucking bar
Yeah.
setter, right?
Yeah, we're like fucking.
We're like, we gotta be all
We need
you
to get
what
our shit
Merge
on
is
point
doing.
like that. Like this guy's doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm just like it really trips me out because it's one of those things where you got to get pointed in the direction.
Yeah.
Like you don't just show up and find. Because I've seen some people's work that is just shitty, man.
Whack.
Like, I'm like, fuck. Do you really like? Did you really just put the Beat Lab podcast in like some fucking half-inch
Like
font?
14-point fucking
Yeah.
font
Like-
off your fucking WordPad.
on this fucking humongous ass hat, like
Yeah.
it's crazy how people fucking do shit, man. But yeah, I saw your stuff and I was like, man, that's a great work. That's some great work right there.
Yeah, see, we used to, with the whole group thing, I have a silk screen machine and all that, and we used to do our own, stuff, do our own shirts and things like that. But, it does become very time consuming,
Yeah.
And, I figure, at a good price, working with these two guys, I mean, it's time, I don't have to worry about, making all these and getting them all pressed up and, when I can get it quick and, still be productive on my part.
It's freeing you up to, you're not making a clothing company, right? So your focus needs to be on your music.
Yeah.
The apparel is just a way to promote. That's to get people thinking about you. You see your buddy wearing that Merge Beats sweater and you're like, oh man, I keep seeing that. He's rocking that sweater. I need to look this guy up.
Yeah.
So then your name's out there and it gets your name on people's tongue. You're like, oh, Merge Beats, okay. Yeah, I've seen that. And then you catch, somebody, shares something on Facebook and you're like, oh, I've seen this. Right? So, and that's what it gets down to, man. It's just getting more exposure and getting more people to know your name.
Yeah.
More people that know your name. It's that 7 degrees of separation, right?
Yeah.
The more people you know, the more you're connected, through your buddy's buddy. Everybody knows everybody. It's a small world, man.
No, it
Yeah.
is.
It's just like through, on the podcast, we've reached out to some people and it's amazing, dude, that the community, the internet, people that are in music, how people are willing to, just jump in and come on and just talk music with us, it's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. And, hopefully, we want to get our apparel. And like I said, man, we're always jocking your shit. And we hope to do the same thing.
Yeah, let me know, man. I'll definitely hook that up, man. Like I
that'd
said,
be
they're
tight.
mad cool people, man. So whenever.
Yeah, that's certainly like the next step for our podcast here. But it's also that the thing that I notice about like merchandise is not only is it an advertising technique, but it's also for like the people around you that want to support you.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it without the people.
Yeah,
Right.
it's their way. They're doing their part. Like they're
Yeah.
gonna buy your shirt,
And
they're gonna rock it, and they're supporting you.
yeah, that
you know?
that $20 hat or that $15 hat or that $15 shirt or $20 shirt. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna give you one of my shirts for that money though. You know what I mean? Like, this is from this is what you're gonna get from me. You're not gonna go walking away with just giving me $20. I'm gonna give you something in return. But it's one of those things to support the people because, like, I know it costs money to do a lot of the things that need to be done. Cost money, like
Yeah.
if one of your beat machines breaks down or something like that, you're gonna have to come out of your pocket,
Hurt my
And
heart.
That's
it stings.
today we had to I had to come out of $10 for that adapter,
Yeah.
the headphone adapter, you know what I mean? And that's all because I forgot my shit at home, and it was either drive 35 minutes or 40 minutes back home and then 40 minutes back, or just stop at Walmart and buy a new one, and it was like, fuck it, here's my $10, But yeah, man, merchandise is cool, man. Merchandise is cool because it's an even switch with people, like some people don't like to just donate money just for the sake of donating, and this is a way that you don't have to have them just donating just straight up, give me cash.
Yeah.
Here, I'll give you a shirt. Okay, boom. How about a shirt? Cool. I go to shows all the time, and that's, you know, I wish I could buy a shirt every time I go, but my big ass just don't fit in them. You know, like, for some reason these bands are discriminating
They
against
like
the big
the
ass
skinny,
dudes.
skinny shirts.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know who King Magnetic is, but he was out here, and the dude is like this huge man, right?
Yeah.
And he's just huge, dude. And you know, I don't. You know, when I get shirts, if they're gonna be 4X or, you know, 5X, like those, obviously the bigger the size, the more it costs. You know.
Yeah.
And so I don't really have too many friends that are just big like that. I do got a few, so I'll make sure, like, hey, are you gonna want a shirt if I get it made? And you know, yes or no, you know, pretty much. So if I have to, I'll get those sizes made. But he was when he was here, he was like, man, you need to. Why you hating on the big people for, man? You need to get some, you know, some other shirts, like some 4Xs, 5Xs. And I was like, well, down, you know, you know. So I ended up shooting him a beanie, you know, and he was rocking a beanie. But yeah, dude, you know, you're right. You know, it's some people they stop right at 2X or something. You know?
Yeah.
And I understand it though. You know, like, because when I go to a show, I look at the lines, and I'll be one of them that's in line because I want to see if they have their new album out there. You know, I know I'm not going up there for a shirt. I might go up there for a shirt to buy it for my son, but I'm not going up there for me for sure, you know? But, you know, when I look at the people in line, I'm like the biggest motherfucker in this line. You know, like, that's why they don't have that size, because you're the only one,
fucking only one.
You know? So I guess, you know, I got to spend like $50 on a gym membership to buy a shirt, you know? To work on that shirt size.
But you know what, dude? Merchandise for the bands, and I know in the, like, you know, with the rock bands and what have you, buying their merch at the shows is like, that's like the number one way these guys are making money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's like these guys are really relying on you buying their T-shirt. You know, that's because album sales. That's just the album sales is like the T-shirt now. You know, like. Because people are streaming it on YouTube or on Pandora or Spotify. Nobody's paying for the music anymore.
Yeah.
You know, they're getting it for free.
Yeah.
It is very, very rare. And the only time, like, and I'm guilty of it too. You subscribe to Apple Music, and I downloaded all my favorite shit. And it's like I pay my $9.99 a month, but you know the band's kind of getting hosed. You know, they're only getting like a 1/100th of a cent every time the record's played. So,
see, and
the way they make money is with their shirts and shit, you know, with merch.
Yeah, that's
and shows, touring, you know.
Yeah. But that's the thing too, is like me, you know, I have the Apple Music app, and you know, I download, you know, what I need to hear and stuff like that. But I'm one of the people that I can honestly say I'm out there in the concerts every year. You know, if I have you in my, and you're touring and you're coming around where I'm at, I'm gonna be there because I go watch, you know.
Yeah.
And then when I go watch, I buy shit, you know. So I'm cool with it, but I do think that, you know what I mean, like, artists need to understand the time now, and it's like, dude, you gotta get out there and you gotta hustle. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta hustle, and that's why I think some of these artists that the technique, the best technique is to be out there and be cool, you know, and make yourself available to your fans.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be like, oh, dude, I got to shake his hand. I need to go buy one of his shirts right now. You know, like, dude, if you're more available like that, and I know you can't be available for everybody, but if you take the time that you do have between whoever's playing and you just walk around and be like, hey, what's up, man? You know, like, and they're like, oh, shit, you know, like, I came here to see you, you know, like, oh, cool, man. Like, I'm glad you're here. You know, like, that kind of shit goes a long way.
You could change somebody's life, dude.
You could.
You could really literally change somebody's life, dude.
Yeah.
Your presence, because they respect you and they're into your music so much that just being in their presence, like if you just give them a few minutes for them to tell you how much that, you know, you mean to them, you know, as an artist, you know, that can make somebody's whole year.
Well, even like, you know, with doing shows, man, I don't go out there like all cocky or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm cool with everybody, man.
Yeah.
You know, you won't ever see me really getting in beef with other people or anything like that. But, you know, there's artists when you do go to shows where they're, you know, they may be that got that mean face on. Ain't really trying to associate with people but their own people. But I'll make it a point to where if you just came off the stage and you I thought you were pretty dope, like I'm giving you love.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. I don't care what style of music you're doing. Like I'm gonna give you love if and I'm cool and I'm real respectful towards all the other artists. But there's some artists that aren't like that. And when you do go talk to someone that's supporting or a fan, and you're right, it could change it, man. Like the respect level goes way up, and so I mean, I agree with you guys on that for sure. But there is definitely people who are kind of like that, and I could say, there was times when we were doing shows out in LA, there would be some people from our group where we're just like, we're killing these dudes, like, we're betting, and I never took that approach, like,
you can't control somebody on what the approach they take, but you can be the most liked guy in that band by taking your own approach and being
the accessible one,
being available, But I've ran into a few of those, guys that are just like, God dang, you're a major fucking dick, like. Mm-hmm. I at that point the fan level from me to you kind of went down because you're just not you're not cool,
I haven't had that happen to me though.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to an artist, like the only one that that I heard about that kind of devastated me was that time when Luke was up in Seattle and he called me, he was on tour and he's like, hey man, hate to burst your bubble, but Sean Kinney was an asshole. And that's the drummer from Alice in Chains. Yeah. And I was like, a huge Alice in Chains fan when I was a kid. And I was like, oh man, like one of your heroes is a fucking dick.
Yeah.
But like that time I jumped under the rope, dude. Remember we were at House of Blues. And I seen the drummer, Lamb of God, standing there. And Leisure and I standing. He's like, go talk to him, man. And I was like, fuck it. Dipped under the rope, walked up. Hey man, so you like your Mapex drums?
Yeah. But
he's like, oh yeah,
it's cool though, man, because like it's like you don't even know me personally, I haven't taken no stage or anything, but that's one of my things is before I die, I want to take a stage, and I want to play guitar on stage, or I want to sing, or I want to do something. I don't give a shit what I'm doing, as long as I'm playing something or being part of this music thing, But if somebody was to just come up to me and say, hey man, that was fucking shit was tight, I'd be fucking like floored.
Yeah, I could die happy.
Yeah, like I'll probably cry right in front of that motherfucker, just because that's what you do this shit for, is for the props. You know what I mean? Like I remember back in the day when the louder the crowd was, the more fucking tight you were, because like, dude, you had them fucking hype as fuck,
Yeah.
And it was like that was your trophy, was like these motherfuckers were really enjoying themselves.
Yeah, people getting off to your music.
Yeah, and now it's like, God damn, I know it's expensive to do a lot of shit now, but it's all about the money now for everybody. Yeah. Everybody that's on, a lot of times the bands are thinking about money, the producers are thinking about money, the venue people are thinking about money, like. It's like, God damn, dude, can we fucking let's just do this shit, But it is fucking difficult, man. But I do think people need to be available. That's like the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
It'll help yourself too, like promote you, because people will be like, oh, you can go talk to him. Yeah. Like some people are like, oh shit, I don't know. Like, hey, you can go talk to him.
Yeah, no, cool. There's times too, like if I'm done doing something on stage or whatnot, and I'm walking off, you'll make eye contact with somebody, and they're kind of like, you can see when they want to say something,
yeah,
and then there'll just be a point I'm like, oh, what up, dude, and I'll start it off, and then they're just like, oh, hey, that, they give you love and all that, but sometimes you have to approach it like that too, man. And it helps, man. Like I definitely love seeing, like, if I'm doing a live beat or something and I see them heads just banging, like
they're feeling it.
That pumps me up. You'll start seeing me move a lot more.
Yeah, then you're taking a different approach. You're like, oh fuck, I gotta get it too. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to see people out there. That's why, like, I always think like, damn, dude, when you see people off the stage how does that, like, how does that change your performance? Because it's like you said, you seen people out there and they're grooving to it, and you're like, you know what, I start moving a little bit more too, and it's just like, oh shit. And there's a performance part to everything. People think that, performance doesn't do nothing, but it fucking, the show is what it's all about.
No, it does. Just like I said, that group, the Binary Star, when they were here, like I had never seen them perform live before, and dude, they had their beat machine out there, they had the DJ there, and then they were, as he was doing a song, he would stop acapella it, but when he did the acapella, he was just really letting you pay attention to his words, and he was interacting with the crowd, and people were just like, damn, because his metaphors were so raw.
Yeah.
And then it'd be on the beat machine playing, he wasn't playing it live, but he'd press these certain buttons that would have to do with the song, and then the DJs, like, that was one of the tightest live performances I ever seen. Like, they came out raw, man, and and the way he was after the show. Like, he was cool with everybody, all the fans that were there. Like, it was tight, man.
Yeah, and there's so many different little things that can happen that just change the whole thing. Throw a little lights in there, a little bit of smoke or something. Yeah, I mean, like, it just changed your whole performance. Like, people are like, oh shit, look at the smoke. Like, oh, but fucking, there's so many things you can do to make your performance, and
there's an art to being a showman,
Oh yeah, that's why it's so hard to be a front man,
Oh
because
yeah.
you gotta put on a show, dude.
With Merge, like watching you, dude, like the thing that relates and resonates with me is your rhythm. I'm a drummer, dude. I've put 20 plus years into my craft, and I see you, man. Like you're a percussionist, is what you are, because you have to have that sense of time and feel that a drummer has. Like I see that those things, those characteristics, those are things that you have to have in order to be a producer, to make this music. You have to have that rhythm and that sense of timing. So I don't think, like, if there's like an argument, like, it's just sampling, like anybody can fucking do that. Like, okay, yeah, fucking go ahead and give it a try.
Yeah.
Because
give it a
I do
shot.
believe that not everybody can be a drummer. It develop. You have to develop a sense of timing and feel and coordination and independence with your limbs that you don't need for other instruments.
Right.
A guitar player, you're not using both hands and both feet. With you, it's a percussionist, man. You've got to have the timing, you got to have the feel. You have to have that taste, to bring the part in and have it fit.
Right.
So that's when I seen you, I was like, man, dude, this guy's a drummer. He doesn't even know it.
So how long did it take you to learn something like this? Like, did you just naturally know it?
I've been doing this for about 15 years. Like, I started off pretty much rhyming. My uncle, he was in a hip hop group back in the day, and I used to go to train with them for boxing, and at that time I was in junior high, I think, or barely going to junior high. And after we'd go training for boxing, we'd go to his friend's house, and then that's kind of when I started getting into the hip hop thing and started rhyming and things like that. But right out of high school, I got this beat machine. It was like the Boss 505. Now, this damn thing was probably the hardest beat machine I've ever worked with my entire life, man. It was really small, dude, and and it had cool things to do on it, but like if you wanted to put an effect on the sample and you could, and say you save that beat, the next day you couldn't, if you wanted to play that beat, that effect that you put on that sample or what, it wouldn't be there. So I had to get a notepad, and I had drawn pictures of the knobs, and for that beat I would have like where this knob was turned.
Yeah, you'd be like, okay, this one's at 1 o'clock. This one's at 9.
That's exactly what I would do.
Like,
to
you'd
make
have to
that,
go back and check your cheat sheet and be like, oh,
it was just
yeah.
a pain in the ass, man. And so, but then I got the MPC 2000 XL, and from there it was just, that's a great beat machine. Obviously, everybody has one of those. And then I messed with Reason for a while, and then the machine, man. So it's good about 15 years, I would say now.
Yeah.
Going heavy on it.
Yeah.
So, but I would say the last 5-6 years, man, I've just been going really, really hard with just the productive side. I mean, producing side, man.
Yeah.
So having a beat getting picked up by like a major artist, would that for you, is that kind of like, I'm trying to relate it to like rock music and like the genre that we play. Would that be like you getting your record deal, like getting a mainstream artist to rock your beats on their record?
I mean, it'd be awesome. It'd be great to have any well-known artist rock one of my beats. But it definitely, I don't think right away you're gonna get it. No deal or nothing like that. So, I thought it was my phone. But it what do you call it? It would definitely help me out. To see something on my resume. I got this great artist on. And then from that person putting it out, obviously it's gonna spread and it's gonna open doors. So, that'd be great.
Yeah, man. I wish the best for you, dude. I just want to see. I want to see you, continue your ascendancy here.
Thank you, man.
Because there's no doubt that you're an immensely talented producer, dude. Like, I've known that since day one. As soon as I seen you work, I was like, yeah, this guy's got it.
I appreciate it, man.
Dude, I'm saying that wholeheartedly. As a musician myself, I see what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, that guy's on the level. You could tell when somebody's an amateur and when somebody's at a professional level, and you're definitely at that level, dude.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. And I believe that, man. And I know the guys that you're working with here. I just hope that Bakersfield breaks out, man.
Yeah.
No, like I think it is, man. There's some talent here. There's a lot of talent here, and what I like is we're all starting to work together. It used to be this person's this side, this person's here, but everybody's working together, man, and I think that's gonna really help out.
Yeah, I think seeing like the quality of work that you put out, because I've heard people put stuff out on YouTube and SoundCloud and stuff, and some of it just sounds horrible. The sound is just like, I'm like, damn, why would you put that out? But like your sound is very clean, crisp,
polished.
Yeah, it's real
Very
polished. Like it sounds like you did this in a freaking $1 million studio, and it's like, it's cool, But I think just knowing that, like, that there's people like you out there here, like especially here in Bakersfield, it kind of makes me think like, okay, well, it's cool. We're gonna be all right. The hip hop state is gonna be all right because there's still people out there like you pushing that kind of stuff. And informing these younger people that this sound is still alive. It's not dead. Because for a while there, I kind of got like, oh shit, like what are we doing with all these?
Yeah. It got kind of sad there for a while.
Yeah,
man.
It got real cartoonish, like real popish. Like I was like, oh, wait a minute, and then I started, like even the vocalists, like people that are the lyricists out there that are doing it, they're using all these effects in their mics and stuff, and I'm like,
the whole that auto tune,
that whole fucking I am out, like fucking T-painting the shit out of it, but it's kind of refreshing, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, we're cool, like the shit's not dead, it's there because
like guy like J. Cole or something, you're like, yes, there's still legit MCs out there,
out there doing it.
And
but
Lecrae, dude, that dude is still.
Is fucking, he's
and
cool, man.
I didn't know that. That's a cool thing about that guy, man. Is he doesn't come across all preachy. You had to tell me he was a Christian artist.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, because he doesn't make it too corny or anything, to where it would be off-putting or anything for a secular crowd.
Yeah.
He's still able to get his point across without being dirty or anything. I think that guy's amazing.
Yeah.
To go back like on the hip hop thing, that at one of the last shows I was at, big ups to this father and his son, man. He I don't want to give his name out or anything like that, but he was at the King Magnetic show. It was his dad and his young son, man, like and he stayed the entire time. So like he's introducing, like he wants his son to know about this hip hop, man, and this kid, he's all about it. And his kid ended up being the lucky person that had a drawing, so everybody who performed there that night threw in some type of product, whether it was a shirt, hat, sweater, CDs or not. And that kid ended up winning it, man. But just to see that dad bring his kid to that hip hop show, man, and and I was just like, damn, like that's awesome, So they're, those fathers that were into, that style of music and all that are trying to influence their kids and not necessarily have them on this modern.
And that's the kind of thing with this time is like, we can complain all damn day of, what the world is right now, but it's because of us, like we're the ones that put our kids in the position to be what they are, and if the kids are gonna be fucked up nowadays, then it's gonna be the parents' fault, So, that's a badass thing to do for a father to take.
You made a mark on that guy's life, dude. Like you, as a whole, like all the artists up there. That kid now, that's a defining moment in his life. He's gonna be like for the rest of his life. That's like the story I've told, a couple times on the podcast where, I'm listening to Madonna and MC Hammer on a boombox in my room, and my dad brought in this record player and put Metallica Master Puppets on. He's like, I'm tired of hearing the bullshit. This is what's up. Drops the needle on the record for me and my homeboy, and we hear it for the first time. This kid, that's the defining moment for him. He's going to be like, dude, my dad, I was, 7 years old, 8 years old, whatever, and my dad took me to a hip-hop show. And
it was the baddest
and
shit
it was
ever.
the baddest shit I've ever seen.
Contest,
and I won this
shit.
contest, and I got all these guys' merch, and then here he is in his room. And he's out there and he's making it happen, and he's the next generation of what's going to be great in the genre of music that you love, and that's how you carry the torch, dude. That's you guys passing the torch to the next generation by gifting them that music and exposing them to that.
It's definitely the way to go,
dude. We so appreciate you coming out here on a Sunday, man, taking time away from your music and your family to come and chop it up with us, dude.
Oh man, I appreciate you guys having me on, man.
Yeah, this
is dope. We're definitely have to do this again.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
I'd like to do one day with Merge coming in, and then we can bring Stu.
It would be cool to do a live beats, have a couple MCs, do a podcast.
That's gonna be that's a future one that we've been thinking of too, doing some live stuff.
We want to do a Guitar Center sessions type of format eventually.
Yeah,
let's do it.
That'd be cool, man. But plug all your social media sites, websites, where they can find you.
Instagram Merge Beats, SoundCloud Merge 10, Bandcamp Merge Beats, and Facebook just Merge Beats. Just Google Merge Beats.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll post it all up in the info on the podcast too, in case anybody listening. We'll put the hyperlinks there so they can just click on it and find you.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely. But the Beat Lab, look us up. Twitter,
Big
SoundCloud, Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, freaking wherever you're looking for podcasts, you'll find the Beat Lab there. Make sure, do us a favor, go on iTunes, leave us a review. We need to get some reviews on there, to get us boosted up on new and noteworthy. So that would help us out. Drop a review. But yeah, man, dude, so stoked.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys, man. Big ups.
that's right.
All right, man. This is the Beat Lab. We're out.
Like,
Peace.